Well, it's Saturday, about 6:30 in the morning, and we found the truck. So we're gonna go get it. It's a 5-hour drive. We're supposed to meet there at noon, so I guess we'll head out. And of course, I went to bed too late last night, but let's get on the road. 2007 Ford F-250 with the 6.0 Powerstroke engine, 4-wheel drive. That's what we got. Obviously, we made it back home. Let's take a walk around on this truck right quick. Now that all the 6.0 Powerstroke haters are in the comments telling me about how I made such a terrible mistake, let's talk a little bit about why we chose this particular truck. Well, what we needed was an off-road capable truck that could still get all of the work truck duties done that we could ever ask of it. We also wanted it to be a good truck for a preparedness vehicle. We needed something that was 3/4 ton, 4-wheel drive, and tough as nails. This truck does have the FX4 package. It includes skid plates, a limited slip or locking rear differential. This one has the limited slip. These Super Duties came from the factory with a solid front axle, Dana 60. One of the toughest axles that you can buy unless you're going crazy. We got a fairly new, I'm gonna say almost new set of BF Goodrich KO2 all-terrain tires. Arguably one of the best all-terrain tires ever made. Manual locking hubs, so we don't have to worry about electronic or vacuum problems to get our 4-wheel drive to work. We got the 8-foot bed, which is really what we needed for work truck duty, and the super cab option. It gives us some room to carry passengers if we need to, but all the room we need for keeping tools and stuff inside the cab. These aren't very comfortable to ride in, nothing like the crew cabs, but with the 8-foot bed, we're already pretty long. So this is actually my preference for this particular use case of truck. I know this is hard to see, but it did come with the upgraded front and rear springs, front coils, rear leafs. And these are basically F350 springs on an F250 truck. That does several things for us. One of those things is it gives us an increased GVWR, up to 10,000 pounds, which is about almost 1,000 pounds heavier than the standard F250. And for me, I'm not a hot shot. I'm not doing heavy hauling all the time. That's gonna fall in line perfect for what I need. So what about the old GMC that y'all have seen 100 times? Well, I've still got it, and it's not going anywhere. My son is 15 years old. He's gonna start driving soon, so he's gonna need to drive one of these two trucks. What about that 6-liter diesel engine? Yes, I know, these things had their share of problems. Mainly, you know, the head bolts. Head bolts would stretch, you'd start going through head gaskets, cracking heads, overheating, all of that stuff. But there's one major variable that people forget to think about when it comes to these things. They had issues with the EGR systems that may, allegedly, have been deleted. So that's not an issue. They had some problems with the oil coolers. Well, that oil cooler has been taken care of on this truck. And there's other things like the injection control module and a few other things like that. But the biggest variable that you can ever account for is how the original owner took care of it. How was it maintained? These 6-liter diesel engines have to have fresh, clean oil and fresh, clean diesel. If you don't do that, you're asking for problems. Another issue with these is they were in that first generation of tuner trucks where you could go and slap on a tuner to these things and bolt on upgrades to put 700 horsepower to the rear wheels. You could do that with bolt-on stuff without really doing any major engine work. Unfortunately, that's what caused these things to blow up. Well, this one has never been tuned. It's had excellent maintenance. The person I bought it from is actually family, so I know the maintenance history on this thing, and it's never had a tune, and it's never been abused as far as towing. It's done its fair share of work, but it's never been abused. And let's be honest, at 200,000 miles, if head gasket problems haven't shown up yet, the chances are really slim, as long as we're not putting a really hot tune on this thing, that those things are ever gonna blow. If they've lasted till now, you're pretty good. Those things either failed pretty soon after the gate, like under warranty, or they were pretty good. And by 2007, they kind of had this stuff figured out, and they changed the head gasket material, changed up a few things, and they really started doing a lot better. Once you take the 19-year-old kid putting $2,500 worth of performance parts on these things and driving it like a 19-year-old kid with $2,500 performance parts, it really changes the conversation with these old 6.0. I want you to take a look at the interior of this thing. Yeah, it's got normal seat wear and everything because it's a high mileage truck that was made in 2007. But look at that dash. I mean, look, this thing has been taken care of amazingly. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if I own a vehicle currently that has an interior that's in this good a shape. This is amazing. One of the things that I would change on this, if given a choice, is I would rather have the lever operated transfer case. That's a big ask. There's not many of those around anymore, and this works just fine. We tested it out. The issue with these four-wheel drive not working on these primarily came to the vacuum actuated hubs. And with those vacuum actuated hubs, Ford actually was looking out for us. There was an auto setting and a lock setting. On the auto setting, when you engage the button on the dash, they would lock automatically via the vacuum system. On the lock setting, it didn't matter if that vacuum system was completely ripped off. You could lock them in no matter what. The only thing you have to worry about after that is the electronic actuator, and those are actually pretty reliable. You don't really see too many problems out of them. Check this out. I've even got the original window sticker. I bet you wish they still cost that much. And in the next video or two, we're going to go through this thing completely. We're going to find every possible thing that could go wrong, give it a good once over, and we're going to fix everything. We're going to get this thing running just as reliable as a new truck. The previous owner did tell me, which is my family, so I trust them, that there are a few issues. For one, the fuel gauge. It just sort of stops working after it gets down to a third of a tank. No big deal. That's a common issue with these Fords. You scoot this bed back, I don't know, 12 inches or so, reach in there, pull the unit out of the tank and replace it. It's not that big of a deal. The speedometer, it worked just fine for me. Drove all the way home fine. Everything worked fine. But they said it has, in the past, stopped working for a few minutes. I don't know if we're going to fix that or not, but if it becomes too much of an issue, we will. That tie rod end is out, but they included the parts, so we'll go ahead and replace that. We'll do a full diagnostic scan on this thing through the onboard diagnostics. We've got a good video coming out about that and how to actually use those diagnostic codes to actually fix problems. It's one thing to read the code, but to be able to interpret that stuff and find out what's actually wrong with something that's a whole nother deal. And we've got several different vehicles around here we can use that on. And after that, there's a few upgrades I want to make to this thing. I'd like to put some Bilstein shocks on it at minimum, and probably a leveling kit. I don't want to lift this thing up real high. I think that's stupid, and it's not needed for my purpose or anybody else's purpose unless you're building something specifically for off-road. And let's be honest, that long thing isn't necessarily going to make the greatest trail rig anyway. So, you know, there's that. But we're still going to take this thing on some trails and have some fun with it. The tires. These tires right here are still good. I'm going to run these things until they're wore out. And then we'll go ahead and throw some 35-inch tires on it. I kind of did a hasty test on that rear end, and the limited slip differential seemed to be working. We're going to go through that and make sure it's working good, because this is going to be the Blizzard wagon as well. Overlanding and trail use. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but we do need to have some sort of a sleep system set up for this thing so we can take it on some trips and do some overlanding and camp out in our wonderful public land available to us. And up there on the front end, I'd like to do something to offer some protection to the front end as well as mounting a winch. I don't know if I'm going to do a winch mount bumper or just make it where I can mount it through a receiver hitch. I like the idea of being able to take it off when it's not needed, as well as move it to the back. Other than that, we're just going through and we're making this thing bomb-proof reliable. There's a thing that they did with these old 6.0s called it bulletproofing them. And we're going to bulletproof it ourselves. And we're going to go through that. And by the time this is done, this is going to be an extremely capable trail rig that'll get done every bit of work that we need done on the homestead and take care of all of our preparedness needs as well. Whether that be just it came a blizzard and we need to be able to get into town, or, you know, something really bad happens and we've got to use the old War Wagon to bug out with. So let me know y'all's thoughts. Tell me what you think. What do I need to do to this? What are some suggestions? I'm not infallible and I don't know everything. And I learn a lot from you guys in the comments. So anyway, give me some advice. Tell me what you think. And until next time, y'all be safe.